cruisers are the surface Navy's revolution at sea. Their vertical launching systems give them the most formidable missile defense capability on the sea and a fearsome capacity for anti-ship and strike warfare. Like any good prize fighter, they have been built not only to deal out punishment, but to take punishment as well. Making them tough is the objective of the Navy's shock hardening program. To prove how tough the new Aegis cruisers with the vertical launching system are, USS Mobile Bay is subjected to a series of 4 underwater detonations of increasing severity. Her story begins in 1984 with the shock trials of her sister ship, USS Yorktown. From these trials, Navy and civilian engineers gained invaluable experience. Experience they immediately applied to the hardening of Mobile Bay. Over the next 2.5 years, they inspect and harden the equipment in every part of the ship. On the human side of the shock trials, the ship's company is determined to prove how well they can fight through the stress of battle damage. Their spirits are firmly forged at Mobile Bay's commissioning.
Today, there is a thoughtful fellow in Moscow in the map room, and he puts another pin in the chart that marks this ship. But battles, again, are fought by men. They're fought by warriors. And that's why this class of ship may be named for battles, but it's really the warrior class.
Once the ship is theirs, they embark on a course of exercises many times more extensive than that of previous shock-tested ships. Exercises that profoundly improve their ability to fight through the effects of an underwater detonation.
And in preparing for Mobile Bay shock trials, we devoted 3 weeks in port to intense, basically around-the-clock training, and we took the ship right on down to the bootstraps electrically and fought our way back through to full readiness.
For the ship's force, shock testing is the closest thing to war. They train in how to coordinate opposing needs, to use combat systems immediately, whatever their condition, to fight against inbound threats, versus the need to return combat systems affected by shock to peak operational condition.
Let's suppose that your computer system was reconfigured to a degraded mode, but you had targets, air targets inbound that you had to shoot on in a short-term basis. You don't want them to bring the system down so that they can reconfigure and bring it up in its optimum capability until after the engagement's over. You want to maintain a degraded state until the situation, you've conducted your engagements, the situation has stabilized itself, and then you turn the system over to the repair personnel to bring it back to its optimum warfighting capability.
Final preparations occur in Charleston at the Naval Weapons Station. Live ordnance is offloaded, and inert ordnance is onloaded in the greatest loadout ever for an Aegis cruiser. All 122 cells of the vertical launching systems are filled with white canisters containing special shock-instrumented missiles and other equipment to determine precisely the effects of shock upon the launchers and the missiles they hold. Missile types include inert versions of the Standard missile, the Land Attack Tomahawk, the Anti-Ship Tomahawk, and the vertically launched ASROC. In addition to vertically launched missiles, the equivalent of 1,200 rounds are loaded out for the 5-inch guns, 12,000 rounds for the close-in weapon systems, 80 rounds for the chaff launcher, 8 inert Harpoon anti-ship missiles, and 16 torpedoes. Even while weapons are being onloaded, civilian shock team members bring on instrumentation gear. Special EMI-protected trailers house computers, sensitive instrumentation, recorders, and electronics that connect to hundreds of sensors strung throughout the ship by more than 350,000 feet of cable. Fully armed with special shock instrumentation and ordnance, Mobile Bay is ready to depart Charleston. On the morning of 20 May, Mobile Bay arrives on station 65 miles east of Cape Canaveral for Shot 1. Bosun's mates immediately begin operations to set the bridle that will tether them to an explosive designed to simulate the shock effects of a near miss. USNS Mohawk, the ocean-going tug, approaches Mobile Bay. She stands off at 200 to 300 feet. The gunner's mate fires the messenger line to the tug. A stronger poly messenger line is attached by the bosun's mate. Next, the bridle is dropped over the side. Bridle handling is a complex task. The explosive, thousands of pounds in weight, must be positioned at a precise depth and standoff distance from the ship. Tide, current, and wind make charge rigging a challenge. Members of the Underwater Explosion Research Division prepare the arming devices. Finally, the charge is lowered.
T-minus 1 hour and counting.
In the next hour, machines and recorders are activated. Aircraft used for target tracking and photographic helos are directed into position by the ship's air controller. All hands man their general quarters stations. All 25 elements of the Aegis combat system are active in warfare operations.
It's all over from here.
The ship and her force ride through Shot 1 confidently. Critical combat equipment is filmed with high-speed cameras. Damage is minimal. Within minutes, flyovers to test the close-in weapon systems begin. In short order, Mobile Bay heads back to port to prepare for the next detonation.